Welcome to Revenge House TV, your go-to channel for gripping family drama and revenge stories that hit close to home. We specialize in real feeling tales of betrayal, justice, and the power of standing up for yourself. Thank you for joining us today. Whether you're a longtime viewer or new here, we're thrilled to have you. Don't go anywhere. The next story is going to be even more captivating and full of twists. Sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. Don't ever touch the vase, a chilling prophecy from a homeless stranger. I'm Briar Hayes, a 38-year-old teacher from a quiet suburb just outside Denver. Life felt steady back then, married for 12 years, a cozy house with a front porch. The kind of routine that makes you think nothing big will ever shake it. But one weekend changed everything in ways I never saw coming. My husband Ridge and I decided to take a short trip to Yellowstone National Park. It was supposed to be a relaxing getaway, just the two of us walking trails, breathing fresh air, forgetting about work stress for a couple of days. On our last afternoon, there we stopped at the main visitor center near Old Faithful. The place was busy with tourists, families snapping photos, kids running around. I noticed an elderly homeless man sitting on a bench near the snack area. He looked worn down, gray coat patched in places, thin frame eyes fixed on the food counter where people grabbed sandwiches and coffee. Something about him tugged at me. He wasn't begging, just staring quietly like he hadn't eaten properly in a while. Without thinking twice, I walked over to the counter, bought a hot meal, roast beef sandwich, fries, a large coffee, and brought it to him. "Here, sir," I said. "You look like you could use this." He looked up, surprised, then grateful. His hands shook a little as he took the bag. "Thank you, ma'am. You're a kind soul." Not many stop to notice folks like me anymore. We talked for a minute. He said his name was Raymond, that he'd been drifting around the parks for years after losing his job and home. Nothing dramatic, just hard luck. As I turned to leave, he leaned in, close voice, low, so only I could hear. "You are a good person. Listen to an old man's words. When your husband leaves the house, do not touch the flower vase on the porch. Promise me that." I froze for a second. It came out of nowhere. Strange, specific, almost eerie. I laughed it off nervously. "My husband isn't going anywhere, Mr. Raymond. But, okay, I promise." He nodded solemnly, eyes steady on mine like he knew something I didn't. Then he went back to his meal, and I walked away shaking my head. Weird advice from a stranger, probably just the ramblings of someone who'd seen too much. We drove home the next day. Life picked up right where it left off, grading papers, cooking dinner, small talk with Ridge about his sales job. But that warning stuck in the back of my mind, popping up at odd moments. I told myself it was nothing, just a quirky encounter. Then everything shifted fast. One evening, Ridge came home late again. Tension hung in the air. We argued, nothing huge, just the usual buildup of little frustrations. He grabbed his keys, said he needed space, and walked out the door. "I'll be back when things cool down," he muttered. The front door shut behind him, and the house went silent. I stood there stunned. He had never just left like that before. The next morning, I woke up early, heart pounding. Sunlight hit the porch through the window. I remembered Mr. Raymond's words exactly. "When your husband leaves, do not touch the flower vase on the porch." My feet carried me outside almost on autopilot. The vase sat there on the small table by the railing, same blue ceramic one we'd had for years, filled with fake flowers because real ones never lasted in the wind. It looked ordinary, but something felt off. I stared at it, pulse racing, hands trembling. I didn't touch it. Not yet. Then I saw it, something that made my blood run cold. I was paralyzed by what I saw on the porch. If you've ever helped a stranger and gotten back something that turned your whole world upside down, hit that like button and subscribe right now so you don't miss what happened next. Trust me, you need to hear the rest of this. A couple of weeks passed after we got back from Yellowstone. The trip felt like a distant memory already, the fresh air, the geysers, that odd moment with the old man. Life settled into its usual rhythm in our suburban neighborhood just outside Denver. The house was calm during the day, while I was at school teaching history to 10th graders, and Ridge would head out early for his sales meetings downtown. Evenings were simple dinner on the table by 7, maybe a show on TV, small talk about nothing important. At first, everything seemed fine. Ridge still kissed me goodbye in the morning, still asked about my day when he walked in. But little things started piling up. He came home later than usual, 8, then 9 sometimes, after I had already eaten alone. Big client dinner, he'd say, loosening his tie as he dropped his keys on the counter. I nodded, didn't push. Work had been tough for him lately. The company was pushing quotas higher, and he'd been complaining about the pressure for months. Then the phone thing began. He used to leave it face up on the table while we ate. Now it stayed in his pocket, screen down. When a notification buzzed, he'd glance at it quickly, angle the phone away, or step into the other room to reply. I noticed, of course. Who wouldn't? But I told myself it was nothing, probably work emails, deals, closing late. I didn't want to be that wife who snoops or starts arguments over nothing. Still, the tension crept in. Conversations got shorter. He'd stare at the TV without really watching or scroll endlessly on his laptop when we sat together on the couch. I tried to bridge the gap, asked about his day, suggested a weekend hike, like old times. He'd smile weakly, say maybe, then change the subject. My stomach started knotting up more often. Not full-blown worry yet, just that subtle unease you feel when something familiar starts feeling off. One Thursday evening, it hit harder. Ridge walked in at 10:15, jacket slung over his arm, smelling faintly of restaurant food and something else, perfume. Maybe I was in the kitchen loading the dishwasher. Long day, I asked, keeping my voice light. Yeah. Meeting ran over. He opened the fridge, grabbed a beer, didn't offer me one. I wiped my hands on a towel. You've been having a lot of those lately. He paused, bottle halfway to his mouth. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just, I miss you being around more. He set the beer down hard enough that it clinked. Briar, I'm working. You know how it is. Bills don't pay themselves. I know. I'm working too. But we used to talk. Actually talk. His jaw tightened. What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry the job's demanding, I can't change that. I felt heat rise in my chest. It's not just the job. You're different. Distant. Like you're somewhere else even when you're here. He laughed, short, sharp, no humor in it. You're imagining things. I'm tired, that's all. I'm not imagining it, Ridge. I see it every day. He rubbed his face, exhaled loudly. You know what, I don't need this right now. I just walked in the door and you're starting an interrogation. It's not an interrogation. It's me trying to understand why my husband barely looks at me anymore. He stared at me for a long second, eyes hard. Then he grabbed his keys again. I'm going out. I need air. Ridge, don't. I'll be back when I've cooled off. The front door opened shut with a firm click. Not a slam, but solid enough to echo through the house. I stood frozen in the kitchen dishwasher, humming behind me, the beer bottle still sweating on the counter. The house went completely silent. He didn't come back that night. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window the next morning. I hadn't slept much. The bed felt too big, too empty. Coffee in hand, I stood at the sink, staring out at the front yard. The porch was just beyond the screen door, ordinary, unchanged. Except now, it carried weight. I set the mug down and walked outside barefoot. The air was cool, birds chirping like any other day. The flower vase sat on the small wicker table by the railing, blue ceramic catching the light. Fake lilies inside, dusty from months without attention. I stopped a few feet away. Mr. Raymond's words echoed in my head, not loud but clear enough to make me pause. I promised myself I wouldn't touch it. Not yet. I circled slowly, eyes fixed on the vase. It looked the same at first glance, but something was different. The position seemed slightly off, tilted toward the house instead of straight. I leaned in closer without reaching. The rim had fresh fingerprint smudges that weren't there yesterday. Ridge's hands, or someone else's. My pulse picked up. I bent lower, noticed the base looked heavier than I remembered, like it held more than just stems and dust. I straightened up fast, heart thumping against my ribs. This wasn't imagination. Something had changed overnight. Ridge hadn't come home. No text, no call. His side of the closet still full, car gone from the driveway. I pulled out my phone, checked messages again, nothing. The silence felt louder than any argument. I went back inside, locked the screen door behind me, and sat at the kitchen table. My hands shook as I scrolled to Jordan's number. She'd been my best friend since college, the one who always listened without judging. I hit call before I could second guess. She picked up on the second ring. Briar, everything okay? It's early. I swallowed hard. No, not really. Ridge left last night. Just walked out after we argued. Hasn't come back. Hasn't called. Jordan's voice softened immediately. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Where did he go? I don't know. He said he needed air, then the door shut. That was it. She paused. Have you tried his phone straight to voicemail? I left 2 messages. Nothing. Okay, breathe. This isn't like him, but maybe he's at a hotel cooling off. Men do stupid things when they're stressed. I know. But there's more. I hesitated, then told her about the vase. Not the full story of the old man at Yellowstone, just that I'd noticed it looked wrong this morning. Heavy. Fingerprints. I feel like I'm losing my mind, Jordan. Like something's hidden there and I'm afraid to find out what. She didn't laugh or dismiss it. Then don't touch it yet. Give yourself a minute to think. If it feels off, trust that feeling. You've got good instincts. We talked for nearly an hour. She asked questions. Had Ridge been acting distant lately? Any signs of someone else? I admitted the late nights, the phone hiding the perfume whiff. Saying it out loud made it real. My throat tightened, but I didn't cry. Not then. Listen, Jordan said finally. I can come over this afternoon if you want. We'll look at things together. Bank statements, whatever. But don't do anything rash with that vase. Wait a couple days. See if he comes back first. I nodded, even though she couldn't see. Yeah, waiting sounds smart. I don't want to be the crazy wife who digs through everything. You're not crazy. You're careful. There's a difference. After we hung up, I sat there a long time. The house stayed serene. No footsteps upstairs, no radio from the garage. I walked back to the porch once more, stood at the door, stared at the vase from a distance. It hadn't moved, but it felt like it was watching me. I decided right then I'd give it a few days. Let Ridge make the next move. If he didn't come home, if the calm stretched longer, then I'd deal with whatever was inside that vase. Until then, I'd keep my promise. And I'd keep my eyes open. 3 days dragged by like wet cement. No word from Ridge. No car in the driveway. No lights on in his office upstairs. I checked his closet, half the shirt still hanging there, like he planned to come back any minute. Or maybe he just didn't care enough to pack properly. Either way, the absence was eating at me. I kept busy. Graded papers until my eyes burned. Cooked meals I didn't eat. Walked the block at dusk pretending everything was normal. But every time I passed the front window, my gaze flicked to the porch. That blue vase sat exactly where it always had, mocking me with its stillness. I'd promised not to touch it, and so far I'd kept that promise. But promises start feeling thin when your life unravels one unanswered call at a time. By the 4th morning, I couldn't take it anymore. Coffee tasted like dirt. Sleep was a joke. I needed answers, even if they hurt. I stepped outside, heart hammering so loud I thought the neighbors might hear. The vase looked innocent in the daylight, ceramic, dusty, fake flowers drooping a little. I stood there a full minute, breathing slow, telling myself this was probably nothing. Just my imagination running wild like when I used to think every late night was an affair. Funny how life turns your jokes into reality. I reached out. My fingers closed around the cool rim, lifted it carefully, expecting weight from the flowers. But it was heavier, much heavier than it should have been. Something shifted inside with a soft clunk. I carried it to the porch steps and sat down, vase in my lap like a bomb about to go off. I tipped it sideways. A small stack of papers slid out first, followed by a handful of photos and a black USB drive. My hands went cold. I spread everything on the step beside me. The photos were printed on regular paper, edges curled. Ridge and a woman, blonde, mid-30s, smiling in a restaurant booth. Another one of them walking hand in hand in a parking lot. A third, more intimate, taken through a car window. I recognized her vaguely, Lauren from his office holiday party 2 years back. She'd worn red, laughed too loud at his jokes. Back then, I thought she was just friendly. Now the pictures told a different story. Next came the letters. Handwritten on plain notebook paper. I can't wait until we're free one started. The plan is solid. I've moved another $10,000 to the new account this week. Once the divorce papers are filed, we'll have enough to start over in Seattle. Signed with a heart and L. Another page was a draft actual divorce petition, Ridge's signature already in place at the bottom. Date left blank. Assets listed: house, savings, retirement account. A note in the margin. Keep her in the dark until everything's transferred. I flipped to the last item, the USB. I didn't plug it in right away. I just stared at it, small and black and ordinary looking. But I knew what it held. Bank statements, emails, maybe screenshots of chats. Proof of the transfers. $10,000 here, $5,000 there. Money we'd saved for years, vacations we never took, a new roof we talked about. Gone. My stomach twisted. I sat there on the steps, papers scattered around my feet, feeling like the biggest fool in Colorado. I'd always thought our marriage was solid. Boring sometimes, sure, but solid. Turns out I was the only one playing by those rules. Ridge had been planning an exit for months, maybe longer. Moving money quietly, lining up a new life with someone else. And I'd been too busy grading essays and cooking dinners to notice. I gave a bitter laugh once, a short, sharp sound that surprised even me. Here I was, the history teacher who could spot patterns in the past, blind to the one happening right under my roof. If this were a movie, the audience would be yelling at the screen, "Wake up, lady." Well, I was awake now. Wide awake and shaking with a mix of rage and heartbreak. I gathered everything back into the vase, photos, letters, USB divorce draft, and carried it inside. Locked the front door. Sat at the kitchen table with a fresh cup of coffee I still couldn't drink. My mind raced. What next? Confront him, call a lawyer. Burn the whole damn vase in the backyard. One thing was clear: Ridge wasn't just taking a break. He was dismantling our life piece by piece. And thanks to an old man I barely knew, I'd caught him before he finished the job. I didn't wait long after that discovery. My hands were still trembling when I dialed Jordan again. "Can you come over? Right now, I need you here." She didn't ask questions over the phone. "I'm on my way. Give me 20 minutes. When she arrived, I opened the door before she could knock. Jordan stepped inside, hugged me tight without a word, then followed me to the kitchen table where the vase sat like a guilty secret. I didn't open it again, just pointed. "It's all in there. Proof. Everything." She sat down, eyes serious. "Show me." I pulled out the papers and photos once more. Jordan scanned them slowly, face hardening with each page. Lauren from his office. I remember her now. The one who kept touching his arm at the Christmas party. I thought it was harmless flirting. It wasn't. My voice cracked. And the money transfers, thousands disappearing bit by bit. He was setting up a new account, planning to leave me high and dry. Jordan reached over and squeezed my hand. "We need to check the rest." Let's log into the joint accounts. See how deep this goes. We moved to the living room laptop. I typed in the bank password, still the same one we'd used for years. Ridge never changed it. Arrogant, I guess. Or careless. The recent transactions popped up immediately. Small amounts at first, 2,000 here, 3,000 there, labeled vaguely as consulting fees or business expenses. Then larger ones, 8,000 wired to an unfamiliar account last month. The name attached, Lauren Whitaker. Same last name as the woman in the photos. Jordan whistled low. He didn't even try to hide it well. Rookie mistake for a sales guy who's supposed to be good at closing deals. I gave a dry chuckle. Yeah, he closed the deal on our marriage instead. What a promotion. We switched to email next. Ridge's account was still synced on the home computer. I knew his password, our wedding date of all things. How poetic. The inbox was full of deleted items he hadn't emptied completely. Jordan helped me recover a few. Messages from Lauren. Can't wait for our weekend getaway. The divorce lawyer says we can file quietly. Love you more every day. Ridge's replies were short but damning soon. Money's almost ready. You'll love Seattle. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Anger boiled up hot and fast, hotter than I'd ever felt. How could he do this? We built a life together. 12 years. And he's throwing it away for… what? A midlife fling and a fresh start in Washington. Jordan closed the laptop gently. It's not your fault, Briar. People make choices, stupid, selfish choices. But you don't have to let him win. Tears came then, not the quiet kind, but angry ones that burned tracks down my cheeks. I trusted him. Completely. I thought we were partners. I cooked his favorite meals, supported his job stress, never questioned the late nights because I believed him. And all along he was plotting behind my back like some bad spy novel. She nodded. It hurts like hell. I know. But right now you need to protect yourself. He's already moved money. He's got divorce papers drafted. If he comes back talking sweet, it's just to buy time. I wiped my face. What do I do? First, change every password you share with him, bank, email, everything. Do it today. Second, don't confront him alone. He might get defensive, twist things. Third, she looked me straight in the eye. Get a lawyer. Right away. Someone good with family law. You need to freeze accounts if possible, document everything. If he tries to drain more money or file first, you'll be ready. I exhaled shakily. A lawyer? Yeah. I never thought I'd need one. Jordan smiled faintly. Nobody does until they do. But you're strong, Briar. You've always been the one who keeps it together. Now it's time to keep it together for you. We spent another hour planning. She helped me screenshot emails, save transaction records to a secure drive. By the time she left, the sun was dipping low. I sat alone in the serene house again, but this time, the calm felt different. Not empty. Focused. Ridge still hadn't called. Part of me hoped he'd have some explanation that made sense. The bigger part knew better. He'd chosen his path. Now I had to choose mine, and mine started with a phone call to a divorce attorney first thing tomorrow. The next evening, the front door opened without warning. I was in the living room folding laundry when I heard the familiar jingle of keys. Ridge stepped inside looking rumpled, same shirt from days ago. Stubble on his chin, eyes tired but determined. He closed the door softly like he was trying not to startle me. Briar, he said quietly, we need to talk. I set the towel down slowly. My heart raced, but my voice stayed steady. You're back. After 5 days of silence. Convenient timing. He rubbed the back of his neck. I needed space. Things got heated. I'm sorry for walking out like that. Sorry, I stood up. You think a sorry fixes this? He glanced around the room, noticed the vase still on the kitchen counter where I'd left it. His expression flickered guilt, maybe panic. What's going on? You look… Different. I walked to the table, picked up the stack of papers I'd printed from the screenshots. Sit down, Ridge, or stand. I don't care. But you're going to listen. He hesitated, then sat on the edge of the couch. I dropped the photos and letters in front of him. The one of him and Lauren in the restaurant landed face up. His face drained of color. Where did you get these? Does it matter? They're real. You and her. The money transfers. The divorce draft with your signature. All of it. He stared at the papers like they might catch fire. Then he looked up. Briar. It's not what you think. Oh, it's exactly what I think. You've been seeing her for months, moving our money to a new account, planning to file for divorce behind my back. You even picked Seattle. Nice choice. Rainy enough to wash away the guilt. He leaned forward, voice low. I messed up. I admit it. Lauren and I... It started as work stress relief. Late nights talking. It got out of hand. But I never wanted to hurt you like this. Hurt me? I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. You plan to leave me broke and blindsided. That's not out of hand, that's calculated. He rubbed his face. The money, I was setting up something for us, for a fresh start. I thought if we separated amicably. My voice rose. You were going to sneak away with half our savings and your girlfriend. That's not amicable. That's theft. Ridge stood up suddenly. I was scared, okay. The marriage felt stuck. You were always busy with school grading papers, parent meetings. I felt invisible. Lauren listened. She made me feel alive again. So it's my fault I stepped closer. I worked full-time, kept the house running, supported your career, and you repay me by cheating and stealing. He held up his hands. I'm not blaming you. I'm explaining. I got weak. But I love you, Briar. I want to fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll end it with Lauren today. I shook my head. No. You don't get to decide that anymore. You made your choice when you signed those papers. When you wired money to her account. When you lied to my face for months. His jaw tightened. You're overreacting. We've been together 12 years. You can't just throw that away. I'm not throwing anything away. You did. And now I'm protecting what's left. He reached for my arm. I pulled back. Don't touch me. Ridge's eyes flashed. You think you can just kick me out? This is my house too. Half of everything is mine. I met his gaze evenly. Not if a judge sees these transfers. Not if they see you hid assets. I've already spoken to a lawyer. Everything's documented. He froze. You talked to a lawyer behind my back? You did worse behind mine. For a moment he looked ready to argue more, then his shoulders slumped. Fine. If that's how you want it. But you'll regret this. You'll be alone. No one else will put up with your routines. Your schedules. I smiled thinly. I'd rather be alone than with someone who lies for a living. Get out, Ridge. Take what you can carry. The rest will sort in court. He stared at me like he didn't recognize the woman in front of him. Then he grabbed his jacket from the hook. You'll hear from my lawyer. And don't think this ends quietly. The threat hung in the air, but it fell flat. I didn't flinch. Go ahead. Threaten all you want. It changes nothing. He opened the door, paused on the threshold. I never wanted it to come to this. Neither did I. But here we are. The door closed behind him. This time the click felt final. No echo of return. Just silence. And for the first time in days, it felt like peace. I stood there a long minute, breathing deep. The house was mine again. Not perfect, not whole, but mine. The weeks after Ridge walked out turned into a blur of paperwork and phone calls. I didn't waste time. The morning after he left, I called the divorce attorney Jordan recommended, a no-nonsense woman named Karen Ellis, with 20 years handling messy Colorado cases. She listened to my story over the phone, asked sharp questions about the transfers, and scheduled an appointment for the next day. In her office downtown, I laid out everything: the printed emails, bank records, photos, the draft divorce papers with Ridge's signature. Karen flipped through them calmly. "This is solid," she said. "Hidden assets, fraudulent transfers, adultery as grounds if we need it. Colorado's no fault, but we can use this to push for an unequal split. You could keep the house most of the retirement and he'll owe you half the transferred money, plus penalties." I signed the retainer that afternoon. It felt strange handing over money to end a marriage, but necessary. Karen filed the petition quickly. Ridge was served papers at his office a few days later. I wasn't there, but I heard from a mutual acquaintance he looked like he'd been slapped. The process moved faster than I expected. Mediation first. Ridge showed up with his own lawyer, a slick guy in a suit too expensive for the occasion. He tried to play nice, at first offered to split everything 50-50, keep the house joint. I sat across the table, calm, and slid over the evidence packet. "Explain the $10,000 to Lauren's account," I said quietly. His lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Ridge stared at the floor. "It was a mistake," he muttered. "I'll pay it back." Karen smiled thinly. "Too late for mistakes. We have timestamps, emails, witnesses from the bank. The court will see intent to conceal." Mediation failed. We went to court. The judge, a gray-haired woman who'd seen every story, reviewed the documents. She asked Ridge point blank about the transfers. He admitted them, claimed they were loans to a colleague. The judge didn't buy it. "This looks like dissipation of marital assets," she said. "The petitioner retains the marital home. Respondent reimburses the transferred amounts plus interest. Retirement accounts divided, with petitioner receiving 60% due to misconduct." I walked out of the courthouse with the house in my name, most of our savings intact, and a court order for Ridge to repay $25,000 he'd moved. It wasn't perfect justice, but it was fair, and it hurt him where it counted. The real blow came next. Word of the scandal spread fast in his company. Sales teams talk. Someone leaked the details, maybe a coworker who disliked him, maybe Lauren herself when things soured. HR called him in. Conflict of interest, they said. Reputation damage. He was let go 2 weeks later. No severance. Just a cardboard box and a security escort to the parking lot. Last I heard, Ridge was living in a cheap apartment on the edge of town. No fancy sales dinners anymore. No Lauren, he'd burned that bridge too. He tried to fight the repayment order, but the court enforced it. Garnished his unemployment checks. He sold his truck to cover part of it. Friends drifted away. The man who once bragged about closing big deals now struggled to pay rent. I didn't gloat. Not really. But there was a quiet satisfaction in knowing actions have consequences. He'd tried to rewrite our story without me. Instead, he ended up rewriting his own, from comfortable husband to someone scraping by. Me, I kept teaching, kept the house with its porch now free of vases. I planted real flowers, lilies that actually bloomed. Jordan came over often. We laughed about old times, planned small trips. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. Clean, honest, and surprisingly peaceful. Months have passed since the final papers were signed. The house feels different now, not empty, just lighter. I wake up to birds instead of arguments, make coffee for one, and actually enjoy the calm. No more checking the driveway for a car that never comes back. No more wondering what time he'll stumble in. Just me deciding my own schedule, my own meals, my own life. I've taken small steps to rebuild. I joined a book club at the local library, mostly women my age who've been through their own storms. We talk about novels, but really, we talk about surviving. I started walking every morning around the neighborhood, the same route I used to take with Ridge. Now the steps are mine alone, and they feel steadier. I even signed up for a pottery class, terrible at it, but laughing at my crooked mugs is the best medicine I've found. Ridge and I have no contact. The court made sure of that. No shared accounts, no joint decisions. He tried one email early on, something about missing the old days and maybe we can be friends. I deleted it without replying. Friendship isn't built on lies and hidden bank wires. Some bridges burn for good reason. I cut the last thread and never looked back. Looking back now, I see how close I came to losing everything. If I'd ignored that strange advice from Mr. Raymond, if I'd swept the porch clean like I normally did, the vase would have been emptied, the evidence gone, and Ridge's plan would have succeeded. A simple act of kindness buying a meal for a tired old man turned into the lifeline that saved my future. He didn't know, my name didn't ask for anything in return. Yet his words stopped me from making the biggest mistake of my life, trusting blindly. That's the real value of this story and the lesson I want to leave with you. Kindness matters more than we realize. A small, genuine gesture to a stranger can circle back and protect you in ways you never imagine. But kindness isn't naive. It's wise to pair it with awareness. Betrayal often hides behind familiar faces and comfortable routines. Don't ignore the small signs, the late nights, the guarded phone, the excuses that start to feel rehearsed. Listen to your gut. It's usually right long before your heart catches up. I used to believe a good marriage could weather anything if you just tried harder. Now I know love is a two-way street. When one person stops walking it honestly, the other doesn't have to keep dragging the weight alone. Leaving isn't giving up. It's choosing self-respect. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away with your head high. If you're watching this and you've ever felt that subtle unease in your own life, know you're not alone. Trust yourself. Be kind to others, but never at the cost of your own peace. Life can surprise you with pain, yes, but also with second chances and real freedom. Thank you so much for staying with me through this story, from that ordinary afternoon in Yellowstone to this serene, stronger place I'm in now. Your time and attention mean the world to me. I wish each of you good health, endless blessings, and the courage to face whatever comes your way. May you always have people who treat you with the kindness you deserve and the wisdom to see the truth when it matters most. If this story touched you, if it reminded you of something in your own life or someone you care about, please hit that like button, subscribe to Revenge House TV, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment below, share your thoughts, your own experiences, or even suggestions for future stories. Your words help me create tales that are more meaningful and helpful. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share the video. Let's spread a little kindness and a lot of awareness together. Take care of yourselves. Until next time.